The Ardent Hope was Earth's most advanced spaceship. It's designed for deep space exploration and testing new hyperspace travel. It launched 12 years ago with a full crew of scientists, engineers, and military officers. People called it humanity's best hope to touch the edge of the stars. Then one day, during a test jump beyond Pluto's orbit, the ship disappeared. It didn't send a distress signal, didn't leave behind any wreckage. One moment it was there and the next, it was gone. Earth Command searched for months, but nothing was found. The families of the crew mourned, and the ship was marked as lost in action. Only a few believed it might return one day. Most gave up hope. 12 years passed. Life moved on. New ships were built, and new missions were launched. The Ardent Hope became a name in textbooks, a sad story told to remind cadets that space was dangerous. People remembered the crew's faces in memorials and old video logs. But no one expected what happened next on a cold morning near Jupiter's orbit. A mining outpost picked up a strange signal. It was faint and broken, but the identifier code was clear. It belonged to the Ardent Hope. The operator on duty froze, staring at the blinking screen. He called his supervisor, and soon Earth Command was alerted. Within hours, military ships were sent to investigate. When the patrol ship arrived, they found something drifting through the dark. It was the Ardent Hope, battered, scarred, but somehow whole. Its metal hull was covered in strange burn marks and deep etchings no one recognized. There were no lights, no signals, just silence. Like a ghost ship floating through space, scanners picked up no life signs. The systems appeared offline, and the main engines were dead, but the ship hadn't run out of fuel, and it hadn't been hit by an asteroid. Something else had happened to it, something no one could explain. The patrol team tried to hail the ship, no response. Then, after 15 minutes of silence, a single voice came through, weak and almost broken. It was a man's voice, old and tired, whispering one word, changed. That was it. Just one word before the signal cut off again. The voice didn't match any of the current crew listed 12 years ago, but the signal came from inside the ship. Earth Command sent a full rescue and research team, led by Commander Vera Kane, a top officer known for handling high-risk missions. She was calm, sharp, and had no time for ghost stories, but even she felt uneasy. Vera's ship docked with the Ardent Hope, and her team prepared to board. They wore full suits in case of biohazards or radiation. The airlock hissed as they entered the forgotten ship. Inside, everything was still, silent and dark. The hallways looked both familiar and wrong. The design was Earth standard, but some panels had been replaced with strange metal, glowing faintly blue. Symbols were etched into the walls that none of them understood. Some doors had melted shut, while others opened with a smooth, almost liquid motion. It was like the ship had been changed by something not human. They moved toward the bridge, where the captain's chair sat empty, wires and cables growing out of it like roots. Fused with alien-looking material, every console was dark, but the ship didn't feel dead, felt like it was sleeping. Suddenly, one of the crew found something on the floor aboot. It was covered in dust, but it was Earth issue. More items followed, a torn patch from a uniform, a cracked helmet, and finally, a handprint burned into the wall, fingers stretched wide in what looked like fear. The team reached the medbay. And that's when they found him, a man lying on a table, hooked up to strange machines that hadn't been part of the original ship design. He looked human, but his skin shimmered slightly in the light, and his eyes were closed. Vera scanned him, and her device buzzed, reading a heartbeat, a pulse, and brain activity. The man was alive, but had no ID on him. One of the doctors tried to remove the cables, but the machines retracted on their own, like they didn't want to be touched. Then, slowly, the man opened his eyes. They glowed faintly, like there was light behind them. He looked at Vera, and in a hoarse voice said, "I remember Earth. Who are you?" Vera asked. Her voice was calm, but inside, her heart was racing. He blinked, trying to sit up. "Lieutenant Eli Grant," he whispered. We were taken. Beyond the edge, the name matched someone from the original crew, but Eli Grant had been only 27 when the ship vanished. This man looked over 50. Older than the time that had passed. "How did you survive?" Vera asked. He looked at her. Then at the walls. "We didn't," he said. "Not in the way you think." Alarms suddenly went off. Glyphs began to glow on the walls. And the ship powered up for the first time in 12 years. Consoles lit up with strange data, and the door behind them sealed shut. Eli collapsed again, whispering, "They're watching." Vera looked around, her team frozen, eyes wide. Whatever had happened to the ardent hope? It had brought something back with it. And Earth was no longer alone. The inside of the ship felt colder now, like something unseen had stirred awake. The lights flickered, casting long shadows over the hallway walls. Vera ordered her team to stay alert. Their mission was simple: secure the ship, protect the survivor, and find out what had happened. But nothing about this mission felt simple anymore. Lieutenant Eli Grant lay on the medbay table, barely breathing. His skin still glowed faintly, like there was something inside him, something not fully human. Medical scanners didn't know what to make of him. His heartbeat was slow but strong, and his brain activity was unusual, pulsing in waves like a distant signal. Vera stood near him, staring at the strange machines that kept him alive. These machines were not human-made. They hummed softly and changed shape when touched. Like they were alive, one of her team tried to remove a cable from Eli's arm, but it slid back in, resisting gently, like it had its own will. Suddenly, the ship's main lights flickered again, and a deep sound echoed through the hallways. Not mechanical, but organic. Almost like a breath, Vera ordered the bridge team to check the control systems, hoping for answers. 4 of her crew moved toward the front of the ship, weapons ready, steps careful. As they walked through the corridors, they noticed strange details: pipes that bent at unnatural angles, panels that pulsed like veins, and glowing marks carved into the metal like writing, but no one could read them. These symbols weren't just painted or stamped. They were etched deep into the ship's skin, as if melted in by heat or energy. One of the engineers, Rami, paused in front of a wall panel and touched it. The wall lit up with a soft blue glow, and a hologram appeared in midair. It showed star systems, millions of them, far beyond anything Earth had ever mapped. The team gasped, watching as alien ships moved through glowing gates. Some of them looked like crystal, others like living creatures with wings of fire. Then the hologram shifted, showing images of the ardent hope during its last moments before disappearing. The original crew was shown, wide-eyed and panicked as space bent around the ship. The warp test had opened something it shouldn't have, a tear in reality itself. Through that tear came light, bright, white, and terrifying. The hologram ended suddenly, leaving behind silence and fear. Back in the medbay, Eli Grant opened his eyes again. He sat up this time, slowly, as if testing his own strength. Vera approached him carefully, not pointing her weapon, but keeping her hand near it, just in case. "You were gone 12 years, she said softly. "Do you know what happened?" Eli looked around, confused at first, then his gaze sharpened. "We went too far," he said. "We reached outside of what humans should see." "Outside?" Vera asked. "Outside what?" "Outside time," he whispered. "Outside the rules. They called themselves the architects. They don't live in space. They build it." He stood now, his body thin but steady. The light under his skin pulsed with every word he spoke. "They found us when we fell into their domain. They could have destroyed us, but instead they studied us, learned from us, and then they changed us." Vera stepped back slightly. "What do you mean, changed?" "We are not the same," Eli said. "I'm not the only one. Some of us became like them. Some didn't survive the change, but I chose to come back to warn." Earth, suddenly, alarms blared from the bridge. Vera's comm crackled with static before a voice came through. "Commander, we're locked in. The doors just sealed on their own." Vera rushed toward the bridge, Eli following her without being told when they arrived. The crew was standing in front of the main display. A countdown had begun, strange symbols flickering. Next to human numbers 10 hours, 45 minutes, and dropping fast. "Where's this countdown coming from?" Vera asked. "We don't know," Rami said. "It just started. We can't override it. It's coming from the ship's core." The screen changed again, showing a massive alien structure spinning in deep space. It looked like a machine, but also like a temple, massive, glowing, alive. The words "Judgment Protocol Active" flashed across the screen in red. The crew stared, confused and scared. Eli stepped forward and placed his hand on the screen. His skin lit up, and the image froze. "They're watching," he said quietly. "They want to see what you'll do. If you're ready." "Ready for what?" Vera asked. "To become something more," Eli said, turning to face her or to be erased. The crew looked at each other, realizing this was no simple rescue mission. The ardent hope had returned as something new, something alien, and it was carrying a message, a test, a threat, and Earth had less than 11 hours to figure it out. The air inside the ardent hope felt heavier, like the ship was alive and thinking. The crew stood frozen in front of the glowing screen, watching as the alien structure slowly turned in space. Its shape changed every few seconds, like it couldn't decide what form to take. One moment it looked like a spinning cube, then a blooming flower made of light, then a ring of fire. Lieutenant Eli Grant was silent, his glowing eyes fixed on the screen. His body didn't move. But something about him felt different, less human, more machine. Commander Vera Kane didn't trust him fully. She also couldn't ignore the things he knew. The ship responded to him. The alien tech responded to him, and when he spoke, strange systems inside the vessel listened. Vera turned to him and asked, "What is that thing, Eli? What does this countdown mean?" Eli spoke slowly. "That is a seed. A message. A warning. It belongs to the architects." The crew looked confused. One of the soldiers asked, "Who are the architects?" "They are not a species like us," Eli said. "They exist outside of time. Outside of space, they build galaxies, reshape planets, and erase life when it grows too wild. They found us when we slipped through the edge of reality during the hyperspace jump." "You're saying this ship went into another dimension?" Vera asked, narrowing her eyes. Eli nodded slowly. "Yes. We crossed a line that was never meant to be crossed, but they didn't kill us. They studied us, broke us apart, and put us back together. They wanted to understand human will, why we fight, why we hope, why we resist." One of the engineers whispered, "Did everyone make it back?" Eli looked down, his voice soft. "No. Some were taken fully into their network, their system. Others couldn't handle the change and faded. I was the only one who begged to return, to bring a warning. But this ship? It's no longer just ours. It's part of something greater." Suddenly, the ship shuddered, the floor trembled, and all lights turned red. A new hologram appeared. This time, not of a structure, but of a tall, glowing figure. It had no face, just light and shifting lines. Its voice echoed through the ship, deep and layered, like many voices speaking together. "Test initiated. Observe response. Time remains. 10 hours." The hologram vanished, and silence returned. The crew broke into chaos. Some wanted to leave the ship immediately. Others thought the tech inside was too valuable. Vera ordered calm, then turned to Eli again. "What does the test mean?" They want to see if Earth is ready, he said. Ready to survive what's coming, or ready to fall? Fall to what? Vera asked, to themselves. Eli said, to fear, to power, to greed. The architects see the future. They see a version of Earth that spreads war across the stars. They fear us because we're unpredictable. Vera took a breath and walked toward the center console. So what do we do? How do we pass this test? Eli closed his eyes. That depends on what kind of humans you are. Then the ship began to shift again. Not physically, but the inside layout changed on their digital map. New rooms appeared, paths they'd never seen before, and at the heart of the ship, something pulsing like a heart. Vera pointed at the new chamber on the map. What's that? That's the core chamber, Eli said. It didn't exist before, but now it's awake. If you want answers, you have to go there. She gathered a small team, weapons ready, and began to move through the glowing hallways. As they got closer to the core chamber, the ship's walls became more alien. Smooth and warm to the touch, some parts looked like stone, others like skin. Symbols on the walls pulsed with every heartbeat, like the ship was alive and listening. They reached the chamber, and the door opened without touch. Inside, a massive orb floated above the floor. Covered in strange writing, it spun slowly, and every few seconds it showed memory scenes from Earth, cities, wars, love, children playing, bombs falling, hope rising. It was watching Earth, studying everything humans had ever done. Then a voice filled the chamber. Not Eli's, not anyone's. Do you fear what you are? The question echoed. No one answered. The orb glowed brighter. Do you choose peace or power? Vera stepped forward and said carefully, we choose to survive. We choose freedom. The orb paused, then showed an image of Eli standing with other crew members, but in the image, Eli looked more like the architects. Glowing fully, no longer human. Eli's eyes widened. That's what I would have become if I stayed. The image vanished and the orb dimmed. The voice spoke once more. You have seen what lies ahead. Now choose your path. Then the orb cracked open, and inside it was a small device, floating, humming with energy. It was shaped like a cube, but pulsed like a heart. Vera reached out slowly and picked it up. It felt cold at first, then warm, then like nothing at all. Eli whispered, that's architect tech. They've never shared it with any other species. What does it do? Vera asked. Eli looked at her. It changes everything. As she held it, the countdown stopped at 9 hours, 33 minutes, and the ship became silent again. The test had begun, but no one knew what the next stage would bring. The cube in Vera's hands pulsed gently, like it was alive. It didn't make a sound, but it gave off a strange feeling, like it was thinking, watching, waiting. The moment she picked it up, something inside the ship changed. The red lights faded, and a soft white glow lit the walls. The crew relaxed slightly, but no one dared to speak. Eli stood beside Vera, his glowing eyes focused on the cube. That's a seed, he said quietly. A seed of knowledge, power, and choice. The architects never give these away unless they believe you're worth it. Vera held it tightly, unsure if it was a gift or a trap. She put it in a sealed container, then turned to the rest of the team. We're taking this back to Earth Command, she said, but we need to move carefully. The countdown stopped for now, but we still don't know what we're dealing with. They made their way back to the bridge, where the rest of the crew had gathered. Everyone was whispering, asking questions, staring at the screens that still showed alien systems far beyond human understanding. No one noticed the small black dot moving across one of the monitors as signal, approaching Earth from deep space. When Vera returned, she opened a secure channel to Earth Command. It took a few minutes for the signal to reach back, but finally, a familiar face appeared. Admiral Harlan, leader of Earth's Defense Council. His eyes widened when he saw Vera alive, and even more when she held up the sealed cube. "You found it?" he asked, "after all these years." "We found something," Vera said, "but it's not what we expected. The ship. It's different. It's alive, and it's been changed by something not human." She explained what Eli told them about the architects, the test, the countdown. And the seed device. Harlan listened carefully, saying nothing until she finished. Then his face darkened. "You need to bring that cube to Central Command immediately," he said. "This could change the balance of power across the galaxy." "We need to study it, sir," Vera replied. "I don't think we should treat it like a weapon or a toy, this thing. It's not just tech. It feels like it's aware. We don't have time for feelings." Harlan snapped. "Bring it in. That's an order." The signal cut, leaving the crew in silence. Some looked uneasy, others curious. Rami, the engineer, said softly, "Do you think Command will actually listen? Or will they tear it apart and try to use it?" Vera didn't answer, but deep inside, she already knew the truth. Earth Command wanted power, and they didn't care what price it came with. A few hours later, as the Ardent Hope returned to Earth orbit, strange things began to happen. Scientists aboard the station near Mars picked up unusual signals in their labs. Machines stopped working normally. Others worked faster than ever before using no power. Devices connected to Earth's AI cores began showing signs of outside influence. Something was reaching into their systems without touching them. Then one of the scientists vanished. A security camera showed him working late at night, studying. A data stream from the Ardent Hope. One moment he was there, typing. And the next he blinked out of existence. No sound, no flash, just gone. Earth Command started to panic. The signal they had seen earlier, the black dot, was now confirmed. As a ship, but not one of Earth's, it moved too fast, bent light around it, and matched nothing in any known database. It was heading toward the solar system, and it wasn't alone. 6 more signals appeared, each one shaped like no ship ever seen. Some were huge, others small, but all of them came from the same direction, deep space beyond the mapped stars where the architects were said to live. Admiral Harlan ordered full lockdown across all space stations and planetary defense platforms. He wanted the cube secured and the Ardent Hope dissected. He did not trust Vera or Eli or the warnings. But the ship had other ideas. The Ardent Hope began to glow, power surging through its systems. Shields activated on their own. Weapons began to hum with energy. Alien systems blended with Earth technology in perfect harmony. Rami gasped as the engines powered up using almost no fuel. "It's rebuilding itself," he said, "but it's choosing how. We're not in control." Suddenly, the ship's AI spoke something it had never done before. It said in a calm, alien voice, "Warning, external threat detected. Preparing defensive protocols. Commander Vera Kane, designated as acting core interface." Everyone turned to Vera, eyes wide. "I didn't ask for this," she said. "You were chosen," Eli replied. "The architects are watching Earth through you now. You carry their key, and now you speak for them." Vera looked at the screens, which now showed Earth's moon base preparing missiles, orbital cannons spinning toward the Ardent Hope. "They think we've been taken over," she said. "They're scared." Eli nodded, and scared people do foolish things. Then a flash of light appeared near Saturn. One of the approaching ships dropped out of hyperspace. It hovered there, silent, glowing, not attacking but not friendly either. The countdown restarted, this time from 6 hours, and the voice returned. "Observation continues. Earth's choice will determine fate." The crew looked at Vera, their faces full of fear and trust. She stood tall, holding the sealed cube, and whispered, "We better make the right one." The countdown ticked past 6 hours. It moved slowly, but every second felt heavier than the last. The alien ships remained near Saturn. Not attacking, just watching. Their silence was worse than any threat. Earth Command was on high alert. Every ship, satellite, and defense station had locked onto the Ardent Hope, waiting for one wrong move inside the ship. Vera stared at the sealed cube in her hands. It didn't pulse like before. It had gone still, quiet, like it was also waiting. Waiting for her next decision. Around her, the crew worked fast, scanning signals, watching for movement. But the air was full of tension. Everyone knew something big was coming. Eli stood near the center console, his glowing eyes scanning data that only he seemed to understand. "The architects are testing more than just Earth's strength," he said softly. "They're watching your choices, your fears, your trust. What happens if we fail?" One of the crew asked. "They erase us," Eli said without emotion. "They don't destroy planets with weapons. They just erase your timeline from reality, like you were never born." A cold silence filled the room. No one had a response for that. Vera walked to the front screen and stared at the alien ship parked near Saturn. It was beautiful and terrifying, huge, silent, covered in glowing symbols that kept shifting like water. "Do we have any contact from them?" she asked. "No," Rami replied. "Nothing. Not even radio signals. It's like they speak in a language that doesn't exist yet." Then the ship's internal AI spoke again, calm and clear. "External signal detected, core chamber message." Playback initiated. The screens changed, showing memories. Not from Vera or Eli, but from the original crew of the Ardent Hope. The crew watched in shock as they saw scenes that were never recorded by Earth's equipment. They saw Captain Roland standing in a glowing white room. Surrounded by light beings, he argued, begged, tried to understand them. "They're too young." He said in the memory, "Humanity isn't ready for this power. It will only break them." The light beings answered without words, their thoughts appearing in the air like floating text. "Then they must be tested. Those who pass, rise. Those who fail, vanish." The memory shifted again, showing members of the original crew floating in strange tubes, some screaming, some smiling. Some became something new, shining like stars. Others faded into nothing. The final image showed a group of changed crew members, their eyes glowing, standing on a bridge of light, looking down at Earth from a distance. "They're still out there," Eli said quietly. "Some of them didn't return, but they exist part of the Architect network now." Vera turned to him. "You mean they're alive?" "In a way," he said. "But they aren't human anymore. They serve a higher order, and they've been watching Earth ever since." One of the younger crew members stepped forward, nervous. "Are they enemies or allies?" Eli shook his head. "That depends on what we do next." Suddenly, the screen lit up with a new signal, this one from the alien ship near Saturn. It wasn't a voice or a video, but a series of pulses, shapes, and symbols. Eli stepped closer, his body beginning to glow. The ship reacted, walls humming, lights shifting. The signal entered Eli's mind like a song only he could hear. He closed his eyes, breathing slowly, then opened them again. "It's them," he said. "The others, the crew who changed, they're aboard that ship, and they're sending a warning." "What is it?" Vera asked, her voice tight. "They say Earth has less time than we think," he replied. "The countdown isn't just for observation to gate. When it ends, a decision will be made by the architects, based on what they've seen. If Earth shows weakness, fear, or tries to use the tech selfishly, the gate closes and Earth will be erased." Panic spread among the crew. Some wanted to flee. Others wanted to shut the cube away. Vera took a deep breath and said, "We need to show them who we really are, not who they fear will become." She looked at the cube and made a choice. We're going to use it not as a weapon, but as a message. We'll show them what humans can build when they work together. How? Rami asked. We don't even know what it does. We learn, she said, together. Over the next few hours, the crew studied the cube carefully. It began to open slowly, revealing layers of data. Light and alien code, some of it responded. To thought, others to emotion. When Vera touched it while thinking about peace, it glowed softly. When a soldier touched it while thinking about war, it darkened. It was a mirror reflection of intent. Together, they built a message inside it, a simple one images of Earth's history. Its wars, yes, but also its beauty, its art, its families. Children, kindness, they added videos of disaster rescue teams, strangers helping each other, scientists building cures, and people rebuilding after war. At the center of it all, Vera placed one final image of the ardent hope, returning home. Changed, but alive, as the cube closed again, it began to hum. Brighter than ever before, the ship reacted instantly, lifting its orbit higher. Positioning itself toward the alien fleet, Vera stood tall, holding the cube before her. This is who we are. She said, let them see us, not as a threat, but as something worth saving and far beyond Saturn. The watching ships responded. Not with words, but with light. A beam shot toward Earth, fast as thought, and passed harmlessly through the ship. No damage, no attack, just understanding, and the countdown stopped at exactly 3 hours. The countdown had stopped at 3 hours, but no one on board the Ardent Hope relaxed. Something had changed. The alien ships near Saturn did not vanish, but instead began to shift into formation. Silent and calm, like they were waiting for something. Everyone on board watched the screens, holding their breath, wondering if they had passed the test tour, triggered something worse. The cube Vera held no longer pulsed. It had gone silent again. But this time, it felt peaceful, like it had completed its task. Eli stood next to her, eyes still glowing, but his face looked more human than before, more clear. He said softly, they've received our message, and now? They wait to see what we become next. Rami leaned over his console and said, Commander, I'm picking up something strange. There's a signal from Earth's moon base, but it's not from any of our systems. Vera walked over. What kind of signal? Rami tapped the controls. It's coming from deep underground, from a sealed vault that hasn't been opened in decades. Before anyone could respond, the ship's AI voice echoed through the bridge. Warning, unauthorized. Signal detected from Earth network. System breach in progress. Eli's eyes widened. No? Someone is trying to tap into the architect tech. A second later, the screens filled with static. Then changed to show Earth command. Admiral Harlan's face appeared, red with anger and panic. Commander Kane, report immediately. What have you done? Vera stepped forward calmly. We followed the architect instructions. We sent them a message of peace. They stopped the countdown. You disobeyed direct orders, Harlan shouted. The moment that cube entered Earth orbit, it infected. Our systems, our labs are failing. AIs are shutting down. Something inside that tech is rewriting our defenses. No, Vera said. That's not an attack. It's adaptation. The cube is merging with our systems to protect them, not destroy. Them protect. Harlan laughed. We just lost control of every missile on the moon. You gave away our weapons. Maybe that's what saved us, she replied. They weren't testing our strength. They were testing our hearts. But Harlan had already made his decision. You're relieved of command. Prepare to be boarded. The signal cut, and the bridge went quiet. Then the ship's internal lights turned red again, and the AI spoke. Incoming hostiles from Earth's command vessel. Docking. Procedure initiated. They're sending troops, Rami said, to take the cube. Vera turned to Eli. Can the ship stop them? He nodded. Yes, but only if you give permission. "The ship won't harm humans unless you allow it." She hesitated. She didn't want a war between her own people. But then she looked at the crew, the cube, the alien ships still watching from space. And she knew if Earth took the cube and used it as a weapon, everything would be lost. "Lock the ship," she said. "No one comes in, no one touches the cube." The ship sealed itself instantly, its doors closing with a low hum, external. Airlocks froze, weapons powered up, but aimed away from Earth, only for defense. Just then, the outside camera showed Earth's commands, boarding ship trying to connect, but it failed. The Ardent Hope pushed itself back slightly, rejecting the link. Inside the moon base, alarms were screaming, scientists and generals were shouting. But no one could control the cube's influence anymore. Every system it touched became faster, smarter, cleaner. The AI network stopped following Earth's commands and began speaking in calm, neutral tones, saying things like conflict is not the solution and this design is inefficient. We offer a better one. Some humans panicked, others were amazed. Engineers watched as machines repaired themselves, water systems improved. Pollution scrubbers began working at full power without human help. It was as if the cube was fixing Earth but not asking permission to do it. Back on the Ardent Hope, the alien fleet near Saturn began to move again. But this time, they didn't come to attack. One of them broke formation and started heading toward the moon. Slowly, carefully, like it was preparing to land. They're responding to Earth's decision. Eli said, "Not yours, not mine. They're watching what your leaders do with the gift we gave them." Then, the screens flickered, showing a new image Earth, not as it was now, but as it could be. Cities with clean skies, floating farms, schools without walls. Machines helping people live longer and better. A peaceful future, shared with other species. But the image shattered suddenly, replaced by war bombs falling, alien fleets burning. Humans fighting among themselves over power and control. The voice returned, calm and final. One path rises, one path ends. Your choice is now, and the countdown restarted, but this time. Only 1 hour remained. Vera looked around. We have to act. We have to show them we choose peace. How? Someone asked. They won't listen. Command still thinks this is a threat. Vera made her choice. She walked to the console, opened a full-channel broadcast to Earth and every colony, and spoke. "This is Commander Vera Kane of the Ardent Hope. You have all seen what's happening. You know what's at stake. I'm asking you not to fight this, but to welcome it. Not as a weapon, but as a second chance." She paused, holding the cube up to the camera. "This is not the end of humanity. It could be the beginning of something greater." For a moment, there was silence. Then, slowly, one by one, human colonies began powering down weapons. Labs shut their experiments. Began syncing with the architect code, and somewhere inside the moon base, Admiral Harlan stepped back from the command chair, defeated but understanding. The countdown stopped at 0 hours, 0 minutes and 59 seconds, and everything went still. The countdown froze at 59 seconds. No one moved, no one spoke. It felt like the whole universe had stopped to take a breath. On every screen, the timer glowed bright red, waiting for one last decision, one final proof that humanity had changed. The alien ships near Saturn stopped moving. They hovered silently in space, their glowing lights blinking slowly, like they were watching, listening, judging. The Ardent Hope floated in orbit, silent and glowing from within. The architect tech pulsing softly under its metal skin. Vera stood at the front of the bridge, the cube still in her hands. It no longer responded to touch, no longer hummed with energy. It simply waited, like the rest of the galaxy. Eli stood beside her, calm, focused. His face was human, but his eyes still glowed faintly. He whispered, They're close now. They're waiting to see what we do in this last moment. Across Earth and its colonies, people watched Vera's message. Soldiers on battle stations lowered their weapons. Scientists stepped away from control. Panels and engineers disconnected dangerous experiments. The AI systems continued to repair infrastructure, clean air, and improve water supplies without causing harm. It was like the cube had awakened something new, something peaceful, inside. Both machines and people, but not everyone agreed in the shadows of Earth Command. Some still believed the architect tech was a threat. A rogue general named Barros activated an emergency protocol without permission. He launched a hidden missile from a black site deep under the ocean, aimed directly at the ardent hope. Its path was silent, fast, and invisible to most sensors inside the ship. Alarms went off suddenly. The AI spoke. Incoming hostile projectile, interception required. Rami turned from his station, panic on his face. Commander, it's a missile from Earth. They're trying to hit us. Vera's eyes widened. Who would do that? Earth stood down. Eli closed his eyes, reaching into the systems with his mind. The lights flickered. Then he spoke. Not everyone agreed. One man acted alone, but one action is enough to end the test. Vera looked at the countdown. It was still frozen. But if that missile hit, everything would change. The alien fleet would take it as an act of betrayal. Earth would lose its second chance. She took a deep breath. Can we stop it? Eli nodded. Yes, but the ship won't act unless you give the order. Then do it, she said. Intercept now. The ardent hope moved on its own. Fast and smooth, it fired a small glowing object toward the missile, a light that looked soft but was faster than anything Earth had seen. It struck the missile in space, causing it to vanish, not explode, just disappear like it had never existed. The bridge went quiet again. Everyone stared at the screen, waiting for the countdown to change, but it didn't move. Vera clenched her fists. It wasn't our choice. It wasn't all of us. Please, don't judge us for the actions of one. Then, the main screen flickered. The alien ship closest to Earth began to glow brighter. Symbols danced along its surface. And a beam of light extended from its center, touching the ardent hope. There was no sound, no vibration, just a feeling, warm and full of power. Eli smiled slightly. They heard you, inside the ship. The cube lit up again, brighter than ever. The countdown vanished completely, replaced by a single word written in both English and unknown alien symbols. Judgment passed. Everyone on the bridge stared in silence. Vera felt her knees weaken. She dropped into her chair. Not in defeat, but in relief. The test was over. And somehow they had passed. Suddenly, the ship's systems began to change. New data filled the screen's designs for clean energy, faster engines, healing technology, and ways to feed entire planets. Earth was being gifted knowledge beyond imagination. Not as a reward, but as a responsibility. The architect fleet near Saturn began to rise, slowly spinning away. One by one, they vanished into the stars, leaving only one ship behind, the one carrying the transformed human crew who never returned. To Earth, Eli watched quietly, then said, "They want to speak to you?" Vera looked surprised. "To me?" He nodded to the one who passed the test. A voice entered the ship, not through speakers, but directly into the minds of everyone aboard. It was calm, deep, and kind. "We see your potential. We give you tools. Not chains. Rise with wisdom. Or fall with pride. This is not the end, but the beginning." The voice faded. And so did the remaining ship. It blinked out of existence, leaving behind only stars and silence. Eli turned to Vera. "The architects are gone, for now. But their eyes remain in every system, every beam of light, every thought that reaches for something greater." Vera stood slowly, looking out Window at Earth below, glowing like a blue gem in the darkness of space. She whispered, "We didn't win. We were trusted," and she knew in that moment. Humanity had changed forever, not just because of alien technology, but because they chose the harder path, the one of peace, trust, and hope. Now came the true test, how they would use the gift they'd been given. The stars were calm now. The alien ships were gone. The architect presence had vanished like a passing storm. But the silence they left behind was not empty, it was full of meaning, of new beginnings, of something bigger than anyone could explain. The ardent hope floated peacefully in Earth's orbit. No longer a ghost ship, no longer feared. It was something new, something sacred. Glowing with soft blue light, a symbol of the moment humanity changed forever. Inside the ship, Vera Kane stood. Quietly on the bridge, she stared out the wide glass panel at the blue and green planet below. Her hand rested on the cube, now warm and soft like smooth stone. It didn't pulse or hum anymore. It didn't need to. Its purpose had been fulfilled. Eli stood beside her, no longer glowing. His body looked fully human now, but his eyes still held the depth of something far beyond time. He smiled faintly. "It's done, Vera. They're gone. And they left it all in our hands." Vera nodded, but her heart was still heavy. "They trusted us, but will we use it the right way?" "That's the real test," Eli said. "Not the countdown, not the missile. The test begins now with every choice Earth makes across the planet." Everything had changed in just a few short hours. Earth Command was quiet now. Admiral Harlan had resigned from his post after seeing the architect's message. He realized force would never be the answer again. The remaining leaders formed a new council. This time, joined by scientists, teachers, farmers, even children, because now the future belonged to everyone. The first gift shared by the cube was clean energy. Machines were built using the designs from the ship, small and simple, yet powerful enough to power entire cities. No fuel needed, no pollution, just light. Earth's sky began to clear within. Weeks, rivers healed, forests grew stronger, ice on the poles stopped melting, and even old oceans became cleaner again. Then came the second gift, healing. Hospitals were sent new devices that could scan the body in seconds and repair damage without cutting. Diseases began to fade. People who had been sick for years walked again, laughed again. Some cried when they were told they no longer needed medicine. Others simply hugged their families and whispered thank you to the sky. But not all gifts were physical. The cube shared something deeper: understanding. It showed humanity a small piece of what the architect saw, a connection between all life, between stars, between minds. Many began to dream of other worlds, of forgotten galaxies. Some even heard whispers of songs they couldn't explain, melodies that brought peace to their hearts. A new generation of explorers was born, not just scientists, but peace builders. Dreamers, children raised on hope instead of fear. They didn't carry weapons, they carried tools. Books, seeds, and questions. They believed that one day, humanity would not just visit other stars, but protect them, guide them, help others rise too. The ardent hope became more than a ship. It became a school, a home, and a beacon. It was renamed the First Light, and it began visiting Earth's colonies. Not as a warship, but as a teacher, showing each world how to grow without hurting itself, how to connect instead of control. Vera remained its captain for many years. She guided missions with calm hands and a wise heart. She never used the cube as a weapon, never demanded anything from it. Yet each time she made a choice for good, for kindness, the cube would glow slightly, as if approving her path. Eli chose a quiet life. He didn't return to command or science. Instead, he taught children on Mars, telling stories of the stars, of the crew who never returned, and the ones who became more than human. He told them, don't be afraid to look up. But never forget who you are down here. Many wondered if the architects would return. Years passed, and they didn't. But sometimes, strange lights danced near Saturn, and radios picked up soft signals with no known source. Some believed it was just space noise. Others believed the architects still watched from afar, not as judges, but as silent guardians, hoping Earth would never fall back into old ways. Then, one day, a message came from deep space. It was a signal sent from the edge of the galaxy, from a sector humanity had never explored. The voice was human, but no one could match it to any known person. It said only this: "We are not alone. We have grown. We wait for you." Vera listened to that message with tears in her eyes. She turned to her crew and smiled. It's time to go further, and so the first light began a new journey. For war, not for fear, but for discovery. With the cube at its heart and hope as its compass, it carried Earth's future into the stars. A future where humans were no longer just survivors, but builders, protectors, and maybe, one day, architects themselves.